Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello.
Greetings and salutations.
We apologize in advance for the background noise if you can hear it. We have people doing construction here not 24/7, thanks a lot.
No, but every day.
Yeah, every day. So we couldn't wait until they were done
and
for
it's
this.
constant. This sounds like a power washing to me because that's the only thing that goes on constantly.
Anyway, if you can hear it, we apologize. We hope that the interesting things we have to tell you will definitely take your attention away from that.
So many,
and we also apologize in advance. This is going to be a long podcast episode because it's been so long since we last had one, and we're going to take a little break and come back after the holidays. So we wanted to tell you quite a bit of stuff that we have accumulated to tell you about. And we're going to start with the stats, and we tallied 47 primetime shows, out of which written or co-written by a woman 28, 60%.
Excellent.
And directed by a woman 19, which is 40%.
Not bad.
All in all, not bad, yep. And we're going to start with a new series from our very own Pete McTighe, whom you might remember as the original head writer of Wentworth,
and he is our very own.
He is our very own. It's family. And he's now in Britain, making shows in Britain. And this one is called The Pact. It's on Sundance now, starring Laura Fraser, who you might remember from Lip Service. Julie... Oh, help me out. Yeah, help me out with the rest of them.
Ear Thomas and...
Helen
Gwyn. I guess this takes place in Wales.
Well, it sure sounds like it. I don't know that it did, but yeah, maybe it did. Anyway, the show is a 6-episode series, and it's about 4 female friends who work together in a brewery. And an unexpected death, something happens, and they are thrown together.
Well, they're bound together, actually. They're already best friends.
Right. They have to... And then there's an extra... There's actually a lesbian subplot, by the way. And then they have to figure out what to do. We don't want to tell you much because
it becomes increasingly more and more
twisty.
Yes.
But, so the first episode was very strong. And then the second episode, I think there was a little bit of a dip. But then the third, we watched the last 4 episodes in one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it was so much fun, and it was so intriguing and suspenseful. And even though at first I thought, well, I wish there was something a little more charismatic in the cast, I ended up loving all of them, every single one of them. They were perfect for their roles, and the chemistry between them was excellent. And we really, really enjoyed it.
Yes.
I'm happy
it was unexpected, and it was surprising up until the end, and everybody was great, and I loved it.
Yes, and Pete is a wonderful writer, and he's always wonderful at weaving these intricate webs, and he's very good at writing for female-centric shows, and I hope he continues and stick with us because, as we said, he's our very own.
Yes, he knows the female mind.
So we highly recommend it. The Pact is on Sundance now. And we'll let you know whenever Pete has more stuff coming because
which he will.
We're always excited about his stuff coming out. Now for something that's a bad surprise. Yeah. Under the Vines on Acorn TV now is the new series starring Rebecca Gibney.
Our beloved Rebecca Gibney.
Right. So you know that when Rebecca Gibney is there, we're there.
Absolutely.
We were so there. But we just could not bear it. We just could not bear it.
It's too silly.
It was too silly. Her character was too ditzy. The plot, it was kind of like, who cares? We've seen that story before. If it were going to go somewhere new.
2 opposites, a male...
and Charles Edwards.
They inherit a failing
winery,
vineyard and winery, and they have to work together, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, been there, done that. Nothing new, unless at some point it became new. But the first episode just failed to grab us to the point where we actually did not continue watching something that Rebecca Gibney stars in.
Exactly.
That's pretty extreme for us because we'll watch a lot of things for our favorite women.
Yes, we will. And
if you've by any chance watched it and have a different opinion
Yeah,
of
let us
it,
know.
or if you've stuck with it and it completely got better, please let us know. Under the Vines is on Acorn TV now. We really wanted to like it. We didn't. Now for our new obsession. This show I barely even wanted to watch because I thought I would just be so turned off and put off by its content, but I am completely haunted by it and obsessed with it. And I do mean obsessed with it,
Yes.
not like the
No,
kids
no.
say. This is called Yellowjackets.
That's why I was busy.
Yes. It's called Yellowjackets. It's Sundays on Showtime. It's actually still airing. We've only seen 4 or 5 so far.
We just want to binge it so badly.
So badly. Created by Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson, and starring a fantastic cast of Melanie Linsky, Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci, and Tawny Cypress, and their
A bunch of their younger
versions.
counterparts,
Yes.
yes. And
who
they're
to
all
us
wonderful.
are not very known,
No, we
but
don't know
they
them at
are all excellent. And actually, it's a much, much bigger cast than that because there are a lot of other characters. These are just the main
Yeah, there's
characters.
2 concurrent stories, the past and the present.
Right. So the story is about this group of cheerleaders who get on a plane to fly to whatever game they have somewhere.
Seattle, I think they were going.
I don't know. Anyway, the plane crashes in the middle of nowhere, and they have to survive like that. Now, we know that they were rescued after 19 months. It's already in the first episode, they let you know. And we see them in
19 months.
19
Don't
months
just
in the wilderness.
gloss over that.
Yes. And we know that we see them now in their lives today, where they end up and how they are still very much haunted by what happened there. Now, you know that when people have to survive, first of all, whoever saw Lord of the Flies
Or alive.
knows, the kind of thing that civilized people, let alone children, devolved into when they need to survive. But this is what's so fascinating about it is seeing them later on and the things that they've hidden, the things that they're not telling anybody about what really happened there, how these things come out because there's actually a mystery. One of them is running for office, and they start receiving postcards about kind of like, I know what you did last summer.
Exactly. And also, I find that the past story is fascinating because they aren't devolving that quickly. They started, we're going to be okay. They're going to find us.
It's still summer. There's still resources. They still have
Exactly.
some things left over. And what I also told Mimi, because they were flying with their coach and with a couple of other people and, adults, and one of them survives.
Semi-adults, yeah.
And right now they're still maintaining that original hierarchy
Order.
where they're listening to him. I don't know what happens to him eventually, but at some point, obviously, the hierarchies get... again, the civilization, as Mimi likes to say, is so surface.
It's about an inch deep.
Yeah.
That's about it. Scratch it about an inch down.
Yeah, and again... survival, needing to survive, fighting over territory, fighting over resources, and losing your mind.
Losing your mind. Also, power and...
It's fascinating. Some of it is not easy to watch. But they actually have a sense of humor. It's a very funny show.
Very, very well-made show.
I love Melanie Linsky. Christina Ricci is doing fantastic
hilarious.
work. She's so quirky and weird. Tawny Cypress plays a lesbian, and in a lesbian relationship, she's the one running for office. So
and Juliette Lewis.
It's like my favorite, but it's my favorite thing I've seen her do.
Ever seen her do? Me too.
I love.
She's grown into her weirdness.
Well, and she uses it to so much effect in this one. I am so enthralled with this show. I can't recommend it enough. Yellowjackets is available right now. It's still going 1 week to the next. We can't wait for the next one. So please check it out and let us know what you thought. Again, if ever there was a female-centric show,
I'll say
it's pretty much all female all the time. Now we have lots of movies to tell you about because this is award season, as you know. So we're doing like a new movie roundup, and we're going to pay a little more attention to the ones that we really loved, a little less attention to the ones that we loved less. Starting with, I think, besides, I think this is our favorite movie of the season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being the Ricardos. It's just a remarkable film written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. So needless to say, It's got a great, literate, fun, funny, intelligent script based on the truth of life with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Desi Schmezzi.
You'll see it and you'll get it.
You'll get it.
I'm just going to say Shumariel.
It flew right over my head.
And yet I couldn't stop. I became
know.
hysterical.
Yes.
Mimi and I decided that from now on I'll be Schmezzi and she'll be Schmariel.
Okay. Schmariel is from May.
Oh, but I just ruined it. So if we ever
Maid.
if we ever wanted to sign into a hotel and like
I don't think we have
unrecognized.
to. And I think the minute anybody would see Schmezzi and Schmariel, something is not right. You two are not sisters.
Nobody here is going to get that, you know.
That's okay.
Nobody, this is an
get it.
inside joke.
Yes.
And Maureen, if you're listening.
Anyway, it's starring the great, always great, Nicole Kidman at her practically greatest.
Oh.
Javier Bardem.
I just have to say about Nicole, I'm sorry to say, when you say probably her greatest, I have to say with every role she's been doing, she's been topping herself.
Oh, yeah, she's just amazing.
She's shot up into my favorite top 10 actresses.
Oh,
or
maybe
something.
top 5. I don't know.
Well, it's crowded up there,
Yeah,
but she's inching her way up with every
yeah.
movie
Well, I've
or every show I
always
see her.
adored her. So, but even this was surprising.
This is a special something she's never done before.
No.
It's a real character. It's a comedic slash not
Straight
so comedic.
Woman. But
Yeah.
you said, when Lucy was serious, she was still funny. But she was
But in a
funny in a
serious
serious
way.
way. Exactly. Nina Arianda, who plays
Did we say Javier
Vivian
Bardem?
Vance. Yes, Javier Bardem is Desi.
Yes.
Or Ricky. J.K. Simmons.
Wait, I want to stop for a second. Nina Arianda, we've been loving her so much since we saw her in Goliath. And I loved her character here. I loved her portrayal of this character. She touched me so deeply, and I thought she really added something really important to the show. To
she
the
really,
movie.
really did. And I don't think any of us know too much about what Vivian Vance's place was in the hierarchy of I Love Lucy.
Right. The ecosystem.
Exactly. Or ecosystem. Although, yeah. Anyway, and then in smaller parts, Linda Lavin, Jake Lacey, Alia Shwakat, and a bunch of other people, most of them writers,
Right.
In the writer room, where there's a lot that goes on. And it follows, you learn so much. First of all, it's a crisis in their marriage.
Well, the format is very interesting because it just takes 1 week, which is the time that it takes to produce a show.
Right.
One episode of the show. It just takes
Live.
that 1 week of the preparation to that show. And through that format, they introduce everything else.
Yes.
And there's so much else.
So much else. Lucy and Desi were both geniuses.
Yep.
I mean, remember, Desi Arnaz invented the 3-camera.
Well, you say remember, but I don't know that a lot of people know that. And
I think it was a fairly well-known fact, but that gets lost.
Well, I mean, if you know television history,
Yeah.
but what I really want to emphasize here is with the exception of the few clips that I've seen throughout the years, I've never actually seen the show. And I want to say, because I know we have a lot of international viewers, listeners who might not know the show or have never seen the show.
Can't imagine
You
even.
don't even have to. The movies stand on its own. You don't have to be familiar with the show or with the characters. It's just that good that it just takes you into these characters and their lives, and it doesn't require.
And you
knowing.
learn a lot about television history. You really, really do. And the way it works.
Well, and especially, I mean, back then, and she was, again, they were both geniuses, and they each have their struggles. He as an immigrant, and her as a woman. But Nicole's performance.
So centered.
Besides Jessica Chastain, who did the As Tammy Faye, this is my favorite performance of the season. She was so nuanced and she was so subtle, and she rode that. She was so funny even in her driest moments.
That's what was amazing.
And they were talking about the fact that this was not going to be an impersonation, and I'm happy that it wasn't. She just captured
the essence.
Yes, it was so brilliant.
And you will see all your favorite scenes. Well, not all of them, because this is the wine. Is this the one? This is the wine.
Yeah, this is the one with the
Yeah.
with the grape stomping.
Yes. Anyway, all I can say to you is enjoy.
Yes.
I wish I were watching it for the first time again, but I am going to watch it a second time.
Yes, Being the Ricardos is it released this week, and I hope I'm not sure if it's only in theaters, but if it is, it's probably going to come out really soon. I think it's Amazon.
I think it's going.
I think it's Amazon.
You're going to have access to it for streaming.
Yeah. But as soon as you get a chance, do yourself a favor and watch
And see
this.
it. Yes.
Okay, second up on Netflix now, The Unforgivable, which you might be familiar with as a Sally Wainwright fan. This is based on her and Saran Jones fan, more to the point.
I was going to say especially.
This is based on the miniseries that was written by Sally Wainwright and starring.
I think it was called Unforgivable.
It was called Unforgiven.
Oh, Unforgiven.
And the people who transferred it here didn't want to confuse it with the Clint Eastwood movie, so they called it The Unforgivable. Directed by Nora Fingscheidt, and it's starring Sandra Bullock. Viola Davis in a surprisingly small role that I'm happy she took because it was an important role.
Important.
And as we mentioned when we watched it, that she actually did something very different from what she's been doing recently, which is she's pretty much played the same character over and over again in recent years.
She's much more regular person. Yeah,
as opposed to
not over the top kind of
How to Get Away with Murder.
John Bernthal, who was wonderful.
Linda Emmons, Vincent
uh,
D'Onofrio, and Aisling Franciosi, who's a young actress, who was very good as well. And we saw the original, we saw the miniseries, we loved it. I don't remember much from it, but I remember when I watched the movie, I didn't feel that too much of it was familiar. So I think that they did take the original, but strayed from it a little bit. And this is about a woman who was in prison for 20 years for murder, and she's being
murdering a cop.
She's released and tries to both get back into society, which society doesn't make it easy, and tries to reconnect with her sister, with whom she hasn't been in touch with for since the entire time. She was put in the foster system and been adopted, and this was. The movie didn't get good reviews, actually. We were very shocked and surprised to see.
And even Sandra didn't get such great reviews, and she was, I thought, quite remarkable.
Right. So first of all, we loved the movie. We thought it was very touching. We cried in the end. The movie, the story doesn't have to be over the top. I love that it was understated. I love that it was straightforward. And it shows so much about really what it means.
It was pretty depressing.
It was depressing, but not in a sort of a way, but in a moving,
an unforgiving kind of a way.
Yes, but it touched me deeply, and I think that it probably could go a long way towards engendering some empathy and sympathy in people toward the unforgivable, which is again, society really doesn't make it easy for people to rehabilitate themselves, to become, to go back to make amends to something. We're very unforgiving,
especially when they put them in halfway houses that are worse than the prison.
Well, and this country has the highest
recidivism.
Highest incarceration rate per capita, and they jail people here for the smallest things, and then it becomes they get sucked into an impossible situation where you're perpetuating criminality
to stay alive,
just to stay alive. Yes, and then when people go back, and again, we're a very unforgiving society. It's hard to find a job. It's hard to find people who will just give you a second chance.
Especially hard on her though, because she had murdered she had shot a cop, and they interfered a lot in things that might have made it easier for her to rehabilitate herself.
The thing about Sandra Bullock's performance is that I think it's very hard to appreciate by some people because it's
very one note.
And that's the thing, though. She has no affect, but this is where she is. She has spent 20 years in a small cell. She's in a freeze response. She's basically has learned helplessness. She has learned to stay still. And she goes out, she's basically just trying to keep a low profile and get away with whatever she can get away with. But she has no ability to have any joy, and who can blame her? And she grows.
But she does have she has a an end. She has an end game,
Right.
which is
She
to
has a
get her
goal. She
sister.
has right. She has a purpose. She has meaning. That's what propels her forward, and that's why you see a little bit of her range grow a little bit. But I think it's important to show that. I think it's important to not just give people the easy performance or the easy script. It's important to show people what it's
Yes,
like.
it's very hard because she doesn't have a lot to work with.
Yes, and she's been traumatized by 20 years of living through,
Imprisonment.
yes.
And being separated from the person she loves most in the world.
And of course, there's much more. There's much
than
more
meets the
than
eye.
meets the eye. So we really, really enjoyed this movie. The Unforgivable is available on Netflix. We recommend it, and I'm sure that Sandra Bullock will feature into the award season.
Yes, absolutely. Now we have, on a completely different note, and actually this is the film where I was saying John Bernthal is so wonderful. We're having like a John Bernthal film festival. The film is King Richard. It's in theaters, also on HBO Max. And it was directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green and written by Zach Balin, starring Will Smith as Richard the Queen Maker, actually, the father of Richard Williams, the father of the Serena and Venus Williams, and Ingenue. We finally know how to pronounce it. Ingenue Ellis
As the mother.
John Bernthal. The young girls, Sania Sidney as Venus and Demi Singleton as Serena, were wonderful, and I was surprised to learn we're not tennis prodigies who were cast for their tennis and learned how to act. They learned how to play tennis
For this role.
amazingly. I mean, I couldn't wait to see this movie because I'm a huge tennis fan. And
But actually, if you remember, at first we were like, what the fuck? You're making a movie about these two amazing women and you're saying King Richard?
King
It's a movie
Richard.
about their dad?
well, it's how he had a vision for what these girls would achieve.
I mean,
and
he
how
did make
made
them.
it happen.
Yes,
Absolutely.
he did make them. They're amazing.
Yes.
In their own right, but he's the architect behind the
Really,
genius.
and he was absolutely adamant about things, and he stayed involved even when they got big coaches, and he made the decisions, and they were almost always right.
And they were actually, I was really happy to see, as opposed to what we usually are used to see, the parents pushing their kids despite their mental health. And, he actually put their mental health and the remaining children. At the most important, like the top priority. And he made a lot of decisions that were actually contrary to what people would think would have advanced their career in order to protect them.
Right.
And that was interesting. And from what I see in Entertainment Weekly or Monthly, Venus and
Weekly
Serena,
Monthly, as I call it.
Venus and Serena, the real
They
Venus and Serena,
participated. They loved it.
That's
yes.
a good approval, seal of approval
Absolutely.
for the film.
And Ingenue is wonderful, and she shows that Oracene had, in her own way, much to do with their success.
It was a true
They
family.
had 5 daughters. I mean,
or
it was a
six
5 or
or
6.
something.
It was
a true family.
all girls shared
endeavor.
a bedroom. Yeah, they came from Compton. They learned, as we all know, the lore is there on kind of crappy city courts, Compton, California, and
The whole family was determined to do this, and they did it.
they did it.
It's pretty
They
fucking fantastic.
did it.
It's a great story.
Yep, I loved the film. I thought
Will
it was
Smith was
wonderful.
wonderful.
Will Smith was divine, and he really lost himself in this part. I was very happy to see he gained weight again. To do
He shows many different colors.
many. He was wonderful, and if you have any, I was wondering if you didn't care about or know anything about tennis, how
Yeah.
interested you'd be.
Yeah.
I think you would still have some interest, but
it is heavy on the
It is
tennis.
heavy on the tennis, so I was in heaven. And I think there are many tennis fans
Yeah.
around the world. That
And
will
Venus and
enjoy it.
Serena, even for people who are not really into tennis
Right.
that much, they are legends in their own right.
Absolutely.
And so, just to see how legends are made.
Yep.
Yeah.
King Richard, theaters and HBO Max. See it.
I immediately wanted to sing, but we don't have
I
the rights.
was going to. Yeah, Respect. We can spell it.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Available to rent on Amazon Prime. Directed by Liesl Tommy. Written by Tracy Scott Wilson and Callie Curry. It's got a very good
Very good pedigree.
Yep. And starring the great
Jennifer Hudson.
Jeff Hudson. Forrest Whitaker, who I usually can't stand. I didn't mind him in this. Audra McDonald in a small but
so important,
beautiful role. Mary J. Blige as Dinah Washington. There's a lot of people you have heard of and seen and loved, but it's really all Aretha Franklin's story. It's a very moving backstory that many of us weren't aware of. We only watched part of The Genius.
We didn't watch the whole series, and I found that this movie was more compelling than the series.
Yes, absolutely,
and that Jennifer was more compelling
more interesting
than Cynthia
and
Erivo.
More right for the part than Cynthia Erivo was. Jennifer is phenomenally good. She really, I mean, we know she was handpicked by Aretha, and she did her proud.
Yeah.
She did her proud. It's a pretty standard biopic.
Yeah, it is it's very straightforward biopic. I mean, it does go back and forth a little bit, but it's
such a compelling story about such a powerhouse talent, and ultimately triumphant as a woman and mistress of her own fate.
But not without
demons and
very tough backstory.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think that despite the fact that the movie, to me, lacked some peaks and valleys, it kind of was, it didn't pack enough of a punch, but the story itself and the performances were so good. That it really was compelling.
Yes. It really, I recommend it highly.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Jennifer Hudson anyway, and
to me, she's been on a very good trajectory in terms of her acting. I think, I didn't like her in Dreamgirls, but
I loved her in Dreamgirls.
I really, really think that she has become more subtle and more interesting as she's matured.
Well, she's getting better as she matures.
Yeah.
It takes time. She was a singer when she started, and she has the stuff.
Yep.
She really does. Respect.
With much respect.
Respect, exactly.
Available to rent on Amazon. Check it out. Now, I'm not really even sure what to say about this movie. I have mixed feelings about it. Passing is on Netflix now, written and directed by Rebecca Hall. And might I just say, there's no question about this part. Written and directed to perfection. By Rebecca Hall.
It's the most gorgeous-looking movie. It's black and white and fittingly.
Yes.
And I kept taking photographs of the
screen.
Of the screens to see if I could paint any of these
it was
tableaus.
Gorgeous.
It was so gorgeous.
Every shot was stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth Negga and Tessa Thompson are in the center of this film about two women who knew each other as young children, adolescents, I don't know, and then drifted apart, and they meet together by chance and discover that one of them has been passing for white, and
is Alexander Skarsgård,
who is a raging racist. And that's Ruth Negga, and Tessa Thompson has her own family, and their lives become entwined again. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give too much away because it's all about the psychology of their relationship. They have excellent chemistry.
It's a very nuanced film. It's very subtle.
I'm not sure how I feel about the ending, and apparently it's also based on a book, and the ending for the book was even more hard to swallow, let's say. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. I appreciate the premise. I appreciate the performances, and certainly
they were wonderful.
The direction and the way that it looked. I'm not sure that I'm happy with where it went. I did feel that there were a lot of lesbian undertones, and I feel that the idea of passing didn't just apply to skin color. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated all those various themes that were running parallel. I just don't know that I'm happy with where it went.
It's a little slow.
It is a little slow,
but
it was
deliberate. It's almost more deliberate than it is slow.
Yeah. It's all about those moments between them. There's a lot that's unsaid, and but they're so good together, and I found their chemistry to be so electric that I didn't mind, less dialogue.
I would say if you like interesting indie filmmaking, black and white films, interesting subject matter, controversial, I would recommend this film.
Yes, no, definitely. This is not a disrecommendation.
It's on Netflix.
It's a recommendation.
If you don't like it, you don't have to.
It's a recommendation on so many levels. I'm just not sure. And again, it had to kind of be, I guess, loyal to the original source material. The story itself, again, I liked it. I just didn't necessarily like where it went. But it certainly was fascinating and very well made.
Absolutely.
Passing is on Netflix. Check it out and let us know what you thought. Okay, so this is going to be a quick review, and I actually thought it was going to be more exciting, but no. It's called Benedetta. It's in theaters now, directed by Paul Verhoeven.
Who's a very well-known director.
Okay, and it's based on the nonfiction book by Judith C. Brown, starring Virginie Efira, Daphne Patakia, and Charlotte Rampling as the Mother Superior.
How fitting.
And some of you may have heard about it because of the lesbian theme of the movie, but it takes place in the 17th century in Italy, and it's apparently a true story, or at least based on the true story of a nun who starts having these visions, and she also happens to be a lesbian, and she gets in a relationship.
She's an novitiate, isn't she?
She is, I think. And she gets in a relationship with another woman in the convent, and all sorts of weird fuckery happens. And I do mean weird fuckery. It's very out there in terms of the lesbian sex. Not that I found it particularly exciting or enjoyable. But I give it kudos for going there. It just, to me, got at some point way too weird.
It was a very
It just got
film.
way too weird. I thought it should have been at least 20 minutes shorter. That would have helped it. Because it was interesting at the beginning especially, but once she got all into her visions, and it just got too weird. And I know that the movie is well regarded. I mean, again, there was a lot to it. There was a lot to work with. The performances were good. It lost me at some point. It just lost me. What do you think, Mimi?
I didn't like it.
Yeah. And you stayed with it.
I stayed with it because I stayed with almost everything to
Yeah.
the end. I want to see what happens. I want to give it its whole chance.
I don't even remember what happened, but I remember at some point, about 20 minutes before the end,
no.
there was a specific scene that I said, okay, this is it. This is where I'm done. Oh, I remember now, but I won't tell you because it will be a spoiler. Yeah. So, I don't know. If you've seen Benedetta, please tell us what you thought about it. Did we miss something? I'm not sure.
My favorite thing was that Charlotte Rampling did not play a typical, stereotypical Mother Superior. She was...
yes, she was very interesting.
She was very interesting. I liked her very much, which is very unusual
we
in
love
a
Charlotte
movie about
Rampling,
nuns.
too.
Yes, we love Charlotte
No,
Rampling.
she was a
an
very
interesting character.
Yeah. So this has been Benedetta. It's in theaters now. At some point, it will come out
It
streaming.
should.
Yeah.
I think it was a very bizarre decision to open this particular movie only in theaters.
Yeah. And now, something very different.
Yes. On Netflix now, Bruised, Halle Berry's directorial debut, and a very strong one, I feel. I think she did a very good job.
Very high-achieving one,
Very
too.
high-achieving. She also stars. It was written by Michelle Rosenfarb, starring Halle Berry, Sheila Atim, Adam Canto, and Adrienne Lennox, who I love, who played her mother. She's a disgraced MMA fighter. I think it's because she lost badly. I don't know why that's so disgracing. It happens. But anyway, she's in her 50s, and she finds redemption in the cage. Going back to it, the courage to face her demons. She had to give up her son as an infant. She wants him back. And
She doesn't really want him back. They bring him back to her.
Yes, he re-enters her life, but once he's there,
She fights for him.
she fights for him.
Literally.
She's amazing. Physically, I do not know how.
Well, apparently she's a huge MMA fan,
yes,
so she
yes.
had she was motivated.
But boy, she did a lot of very brutal work
While directing the
while
movie, too.
directing the film. I think that she should be very proud of herself. It's not a perfect film.
And you have to like wrestling. So much of it is wrestling. And I don't like wrestling.
And MMA is real. MMA is not a wide world of wrestling.
Right.
It's not,
It's not-
glow.
Yeah.
It's the real deal. It's very brutal.
Yeah.
I just think that she did a great job. I give her
Yeah, I mean,
kudos. The film is not perfect.
the parallels between her fighting to, fighting in the cage and fighting in her own life, fighting the circumstances, the
hard
men in
life.
her life, the history that she's carrying, the
Her
trauma.
mother is a problem too, but she
Yeah.
did take care of the child
Yeah, but she's again wrestling, not to put
on
the
many
pun-
levels.
Yes, on many levels, with her own personal history and with her position in the world, and I like those parallels. I wish we actually had understood more of those parallels.
Yes.
That they'd been a little clearer. There is a lesbian story in
Yes.
there too.
She is a lesbian.
She doesn't know she's a lesbian,
Oh,
but she
yes.
she falls in love with another woman who
Right.
is a lesbian.
Okay, that's fair enough.
A lot of that going around.
Yeah, it's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, she's excellent, and I've always been a fan of hers, and I'm even more a fan of hers now.
Yes. So this is Bruised. It's on
Bruised.
Netflix. Check it out. Okay, last two films. This is going to be a dis-recommendation, even though the movie got so many
People loved
good
it. Why?
reviews, including a recommendation from Barbara Streisand.
Barbara, what
This
could you have been
is-
thinking? It's not like butter.
Maybe she knows the director.
Yeah.
This is called Shiva Baby. It's available on HBO Max, written and directed by Emma Seligman, and starring Rachel Sennott, Polly Draper, and Molly Gordon, among others. If you know what a Shiva is, it's the 7-day mourning period the Jews, which we happen to be, the Jews have after somebody's death. And this movie takes place entirely on one afternoon where...
After the funeral, it's the
After the
actual,
funeral.
it's the buffet.
There's always a buffet.
There's always
Where
a-
there are Jews, there is
There's
food.
food. It's very much about food and Jews.
Which is the only thing about the movie that I found relatable. The one afternoon where a family, parents and a daughter, grown-up daughter of sorts, college years, go to the Shiva, and the movie obviously was made by
Clash.
a Jewish woman. But it was, to me, one of the most anti-Semitic representations of
offensive.
Jews that I've ever seen.
I was offended by it.
It took every cliche and every stereotype known to man, threw them all in one place, and didn't even balance it with a little bit of sweetness and comfort and good spirit. It was as if this girl hated her family so much that she had to make this revenge movie.
Yes, I think in a nutshell, that's the way it felt.
Yeah. And it wasn't
And it's
even...
not very good.
Yeah, it wasn't even that compelling a story, or I mean, the performances
She runs
were
into her
okay,
old-
but how
an old girlfriend.
Yes, again, there's the lesbian undertone. She's a
Right.
bisexual, actually, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't even go anywhere that made me feel, okay, well, it was worth the journey. It just felt so wrong. I sat there and cringed the entire time and thought to myself, why would you want to make this the representation of your community? Isn't it hard enough to be
Yeah.
Jewish out there? So if you watch this, please know this is not really how it is.
Some of it is.
Listen, all stereotypes and all cliches are rooted in a
truth.
kernel of truth.
Yes.
But, first of all, it's blown way out of proportion.
Way out of proportion.
And secondly, then show some of the good things
Yeah.
too. We're full of wonderful, wonderful things in our community and in our history and our heritage. And, this was so one-sided and so full of
Hateful.
hate. Yes,
Yeah.
it was just full
It
of
was
hate.
hateful.
So I'm shocked, honestly. Shiva Baby, do not recommend it. And finally,
But it
because
is
we're
available
really,
on HBO
it is available on
Max.
HBO Max. Finally, really quickly, because we are running out of time.
Okay, a movie that I really found fascinating. It's called
Yes.
Silent Night,
Yes.
written and directed by Camille Griffin. So it's, let's support our women.
Absolutely.
Directors and writers starring Keira Knightley, Matthew Good, Annabelle
Roman
Wallace,
Griffin
Lily Rose Depp,
Davis.
who's Johnny Depp's daughter.
Roman Griffin Davis, who's the
Roman
boy from
Griffin
Jojo Rabbit,
Davis,
who
is
I am
delicious.
in love
yes,
with.
he is just a divine child, and he's a wonderful actor, and he's very, very central to this.
Yes.
And it is a very odd film. It starts off like you think you're maybe going to be seeing Love Actually.
Yes,
You're not.
which I actually think is the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah,
It wasn't
it is.
successful in that part.
A family and friends get together in they're very well off, the country estate. for Christmas Eve. They have lots of food, lots of drink, lots of reminiscing. The only problem is tomorrow they're all going to die.
Right.
The world is coming to an end. There's a cloud of something.
Let's not give too much
No,
away
no.
because it is revealed a little bit at a time, and there's some interesting things. But they are going to die.
They're going to
They
die.
know that they're going to die
Right.
tomorrow.
And that's when it becomes interesting as it gets closer.
Yes.
I mean, things are revealed. People let their hair down.
Which we
because-
don't even care about.
No, you
all
don't.
that stuff doesn't even matter.
No.
That to me was the weakest
No,
part of the
because
film.
who cares? You're going to die tomorrow. Do
Right.
whatever you want.
Right.
But it's well done.
Mm-hmm.
Kira is wonderful. Matthew is wonderful. The little boy, Roman Griffin Davis, is just
to die
to
for.
die for. You should excuse the
Oh, sorry.
bad pun.
But he should have because Jojo Rabbit. He blew my mind
Yes.
in Jojo Rabbit.
It's depressing. There are some funny things in it,
It
but
stayed with us
ultimately-
for days.
For days. We couldn't
just
shake
didn't-
it.
Yeah, we just couldn't shake it. It was like, oh my God.
It's got a little touch of On the Beach.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who know it, you'll know why I say that. And it's very surprising.
Yes, it was really surprising. It was
really-
not what I'd expected,
No, it was
and
an
it certainly
odd film.
it wasn't what the first half hour of the film
No.
set you up to think it was going to be. Stick with it. It's
Definitely
really,
stick with
really
it. It will stick
interesting.
with you if you stick with
Yes. So this is Silent Night. Silent Night is available in theaters and streaming exclusively on AMC Plus. It already is on there, so you can check it out now.
it if you're paying for it.
Well, yes, we recommend it.
Yes, fascinating film.
Finally, really just a few
Really quickly,
seconds.
but I absolutely adored this movie. It's called I'm Your Man. It's a German film directed by Maria Schrader, who I believe was Jaguar in Amy and Jaguar.
Yep.
Very sure-handedly.
Yep.
Starring Maren Eggert and Dan Stevens.
Also known as Lady Mary's husband.
Yes. It is a fascinating little film about a robot that is
AI, not just
AI,
any robot.
that's right. AI that is being tested. It's not really out there yet. Maria Schrader is a highly intelligent scientist and
archaeologist, or is she anthropologist?
Anyway,
Yeah.
she's very straightforward and
no bullshit.
no bullshit. She has a sort of a not exciting life, kind of lonely. Anyway, she agrees to test this.
They make them as life partners.
And they are attuned to your every wish
Right.
and desire.
But with a twist.
With a twist.
Yeah.
And what one discovers is they need a little conflict in their life. And she is not a romantic at all.
No.
Needless to say, it will not totally
it's a
surprise you.
rom-com.
It's a rom-com.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it. It is delightful. It is thought-provoking. Well acted. Dan Stevens is so wonderful as being almost human. Really, he's just a delight. It's a terrific film. I'm Your Man.
It is available on various streaming services to rent.
Yeah, rent it. It's worth it.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to sign off until after the holidays, give you a little break, take a little break for ourselves, and we will be back in the new year,
2022.
2022.
Oh,
Let's hope it's going to be a much better year, and we're going to be with you to make it better.
Oh.
Thank you for joining us for another podcast episode of Lady Parts TV. Thank you for
Happy
joining us for another
holidays.
year of Lady
Yes.
Parts TV, and we have a vlog planned for you for the early January. Getting to know 2022, and we're going to tell you about it when we tell you about it.
Aren't we mysterious? Happy holidays. Have
Happy
a wonderful
holidays
time.
and
Be safe.
happy New Year.